During the time of Uthman, if at all he existed, there was the technology to have archaeological artifacts that could have been produced at that time, which would survive until today.
I want to understand. So let me ask you.
Go on.
Okay. When you say technology, do you mean like pot clays of things like this?
Many things could be
That's
technologies.
not technology.
No.
Apparently you're ignorant of the word what technology means. Secondly, in the time of Moses and Abraham, they also had pots and clays. There are clays, pot clays from Egypt that have been dated back to that time. Hold on, let me finish. So for you to say that I want contemporary evidence for Uthman and Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, radiallahu anhum, but for you to say that does not count for the people that lived before him is hypocritical on your behalf.
That's not true. That's not true.
Let me finish.
Okay, go on.
Thank you. So, if you're talking about technology like carbon dating, then obviously that wasn't there in the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu. If you mean technology like they had paper that it was written on, or pot clays, then all that existed in the time of Moses. And as you think they didn't have pots to eat in time? Moses,
okay, I'll let you finish. Go
learn something before
I'll let you finish.
Now, secondly, when you say he was a king, Uthman radiallahu anhu, well, Moses also led his people. David was also a king. Solomon was also a king that is very historic, right? So the hypocrisy you have is you believe in the existence of certain people just from historic records, like Abraham, Moses, and so on, but you're asking for us to give you some kind of carbon-dated clay bowl that says this is the bowl of Uthman. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. There are historians like Tabari and Ibn Kathir and Al-Dhahabi and others who have, across the board, any history book of Islamic history you get, Arab history you get,
You're talking too much now. You're talking too much, not answering the question I have.
When the Christian apologist named Arul said he was asking for contemporary evidence, what he meant was physical or written proof from the specific time period in question, not modern technology that existed today. For example, if it's true that Uthman ordered the compilation and standardization of the Qur'an, then there should be Quranic manuscripts from around the year 650 AD that can be tested and verified today, especially considering that by then, the Arabs already had a written script, the Caliphate's administrative system was developing, and official writing materials such as papyrus or parchment were widely used throughout both the Byzantine and Persian empires. So, expecting a Quranic manuscript from the time of Uthman is completely reasonable from a historical perspective. On the other hand, when his opponent, Shaykh Uthman ibn Farooq, responded by saying that in the time of Moses, they only had hot clays and lacked the kind of technology we have today, he was equating two very different scenarios. Moses lived somewhere between the 15th and 13th centuries before Christ, more than 3,000 years ago, a time when written records were extremely limited and mostly controlled by Egyptian elites or major powers like Babylon and Hatti. Yet what's remarkable is that, even from that ancient era, we still find clay tablets, administrative records, inscriptions, and even names containing Semitic or Hebrew elements, all of which support the historical background of the Exodus narrative. So even though Moses came from a nation of slaves with no political power, traces of his cultural and historical setting have been indirectly preserved through Egyptian and Canaanite sources. In contrast, Uthman ibn Affan was the ruling caliph of an organized Islamic empire. He had political authority, access to official documentation, and lived in a world where historical writing was well established. So when Muslims claim that Uthman gathered and burned all differing versions of the Qur'an except one, it is entirely reasonable to expect archaeological or manuscript evidence for such a significant act. Even if we don't have a complete manuscript, there should at least be administrative records, official orders, or even external sources, like from Syriac Christians or the Byzantines, mentioning the burning of Quranic codices. Strangely enough, every single report about Uthman's actions comes only from Islamic sources that were written hundreds of years after the events. And that's precisely the point. If people living over 3,000 years ago, without papyrus, without parchment, and without state-sponsored scribes, could still leave behind inscriptions and cultural traces that survive today, then what excuse remains for the complete absence of verifiable Quranic manuscripts from Uthman's era? The issue is not the lack of ancient technology. The issue is the lack of evidence. And when the most critical moment in Islamic textual history leaves no physical footprint from its own time, one must wonder whether the story we've been told is history or just tradition.
If you don't want to listen, there's other people you can go talk to.
Not answering the question I have.
I am exactly answering your question. You just don't have the patience to listen. Look, I don't care if this is Hyde Park or wherever, right? If you just want to blah blah and yell and scream, there's other people. If you want to have a proper conversation, then I'm here for you.
Okay. So
now, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay, how long are you going to speak now?
As I need to. And if you don't have the patience, go right ahead.
All right, okay, I'll patiently
There's
wait.
the door. Thank you.
Okay.
So, when we talk about having evidence, if you want a bowl that is carbon dated with saliva and saying this from Uthman, then you're just a fool, right? If you're saying you want historic evidences like At-Tabari's writings or Ibn Kathir or Bukhari's, where they have oral reports, where they have written reports, where they have first-hand reports, then the books of hadith are filled, and you know that. There is your answer.
Well, you have given an answer. Well, all dancing won't help.
You're dancing, not me.
Because, well, I also dance. No problem.
I'm
Don't
sure
worry.
you do.
The problem I have,
touching me, man.
the problem I have is you don't seem to understand the word contemporary. I can give you archaeological artifact for King David.
I want to understand.
King David.
I want to understand.
It's a stele called Teldan stele. Records King David as a king of the nation of Israel, as a very historical person. Now the question, coming back to the question I asked, because that's my focus. You are a sheikh, not of the Bible, but of Islam, and therefore I'd really like to be educated right now.
Excellent.
Uthman, Umar, Abu Bakr. Is there?
Get the order right. Abu
Well,
Bakr,
I'm not.
Umar,
I'm
Uthman,
not.
Ali.
For those who do not exist, who did not exist, order doesn't matter.
Okay.
They are
So
only a
according
figment
to-
of imagination.
Let me ask you
please,
something.
please,
Hold
let
on.
me
King
finish
David-
my
no,
question.
you
Let me
get-
finish my
go ahead.
question. Do you have or don't you? Please agree to the people who are watching you. Do you or don't you have contemporary? I'm not talking about things written 200 years later,
What do you
300
mean
years
by
later.
contemporary?
What does the word contemporary mean?
You don't understand what contemporary.
Well, I know, I understand the word contemporary. Don't worry. You gave me a
saying-
lecture on technology before.
Thank
I'm
you.
a computer science engineer,
Oh, wow.
consultant, being paid a lot of money for what I do.
I
So
doubt
don't
it,
teach me.
to be honest with you. And if you are, and if
Okay,
your boss is watching,
okay.
they need to fire you.
Well, thank
because
you
you
very
don't know.
much. Sheikh,
if you're saying
I'd like to know if you
contemporary-
know Islam. I'd like to know if you know
Look,
Islam.
look,
Is there
look.
any contemporary evidence for Abu Bakr,
Again,
Umar,
by contemporary,
Uthman?
do you mean
You
historic
care about the
records?
order, please.
Hold on. You're okay. Now, if you mean contemporary, like a person today in our time
No,
period,
contemporary to them.
yeah, of course, there are hadith records where the
The
people saw
hadiths
them
were written. When were the hadiths written?
during the lifetime of the Prophet.
During the lifetime of the. So who is the
You don't
hadith
even
writer?
know?
Excuse me,
Go ahead,
please
go ahead.
name one hadith.
You got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Please name the writer of hadiths who lived during the time of Abu Bakr.
Ali bin Abi Talib.
Who
is
wrote?
he? Who wrote hadith?
Who wrote down?
You don't even know that.
Oh, laughing is good. Where do you have? What book? What
I
book?
got you.
What book is
I
the
got
extant?
In
What
the
book?
Musnad
What
of
book?
Imam Ahmad,
Who-
there is the
what book?
hadith.
Oh, no.
Listen,
Excuse me.
close
Excuse
your
me.
mouth,
So who wrote
open
that
your
book?
ears.
Who wrote that book?
I'll let you finish first.
Who wrote that book?
I'll let you finish.
No,
speaking.
I'd like to know who wrote
Okay,
that
then
book.
let me speak. Don't interrupt.
Who wrote that book?
Are you gonna let me
Yeah,
speak?
go on, please.
Okay.
Yeah, who wrote that book?
In the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, they have records where they said about the writing down of hadith by Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu.
There we go. Did you listen to him carefully?
So Ali bin
There-
Abi
there-
Talib
did you listen to him
radiyallahu
carefully?
anhu
Did you listen to him
wrote
carefully?
down hadith
He is not
during
talking
the
about.
lifetime of the Prophet.
He is not talking about a book which he can produce, which was written down,
Muslim Imam Ahmad,
which
you
you have
can
access. Which book was written down during the time of Uthman?
Look. When you talk about King
Which
David-
book was written down during the time of Uthman,
Let me
which you have
answer.
access to
Let me
today?
Let me answer.
I've asked
Let
you
me
a
answer.
question. Which
You
book?
have asked a question, but you're not listening.
Give me one,
let me-
just 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Which book can you produce today, which you have access to today, which was written down during the time of Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman? Which book was that?
Are you done speaking?
Go on.
Are you done
Answer,
speaking?
please.
Are you done with your question?
But don't worry, please answer my question.
Look, you're so ignorant that I really
Thank
feel
you.
bad for
I care about the
I
answer.
feel bad.
Not
for
your
you.
commentary
Look,
about
again,
me.
your comment.
Please
you're
give me the
interrupting
answer.
me. You're interrupting me.
But please give me the answer.
You're interrupting.
First, it's important to understand that Musnad Ahmad is not a work from the time of the companions. It was written by Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who died in the year 855 AD, nearly 2 centuries after the deaths of both Muhammad and Ali ibn Abi Talib. So while this collection contains thousands of hadith and may include narrations claiming that Ali once wrote or recorded something from Muhammad, that alone does not make Musnad Ahmad a contemporary source. It is simply one of many compilations of oral traditions that were written down centuries after the events they refer to. Moreover, while there are indeed reports about writings attributed to Ali, such as what's known as Sahifa Ali or Kitab Ali, those records have never been discovered in the form of any 7th century manuscript. There is no physical evidence that these documents ever existed, nor can their authenticity be verified. All the information about them comes from later oral reports passed down within Hadith tradition, which were only written down long after the era of the companions had ended. So when someone claims that Ali wrote Hadith and points to a work from the 9th century as proof, that response completely misses the challenge, which is to provide contemporary evidence from the time of Abu Bakr. What's being asked is for direct documentation from the 7th century, not oral reports that were only codified 200 years later. It's like being asked to produce an official document from the Roman Empire and offering a medieval folk tale about Roman history instead. What Shaykh Uthman has done in this context is to blur the line between traditional narrative and historical evidence. He attempts to present a hadith compilation, written long after Muhammad's time, as proof that written transmission existed during the era of the companions. But he fails to acknowledge that what he presents as evidence is really just a claim preserved in oral tradition, not a manuscript, not a document, and not an administrative record. And that's precisely why this response fails from a historiographical standpoint. It does nothing to bring us closer to actual proof that hadith were formally written down and compiled during the time of Abu Bakr or Uthman. On the contrary, it reveals that the entire claim relies on oral transmission without contemporary documentation. And if we apply the same historical standards we use when evaluating texts from other traditions, then we have to admit the evidence simply isn't there. Trying to present Musnad Ahmad as historical proof for events in the 7th century is ultimately a misstep in the wrong direction.